Hey, welcome to Rust Revival Garage. My name is Tim. This is video number 2 of my post hot rod power tour, where I need to fix some of the things that went wrong with my 1985 C10 while I was on the road for 1,500 miles, basically. So a couple things still to take care of. In the last video, got the power steering gearbox replaced. That was a nightmare, but we got it done. And I actually learned of a quote that I think really does apply to me when it came to that doing that steering gearbox, which is if it's too hard, you're doing it wrong. And I'm pretty much like, that's pretty much everything on my channel, and it's almost always hard. So yeah, some things to do, so let's get to it. First things first, I've got a leak in my coolant system. Pretty sure it's coming from the lower radiator hose, but I kind of need to check it out and see if that is the problem. Let's hope I can get most of this to pour out in the pan and not all over the driveway. Alright, so I've got the radiator drained. Just gonna let this run out for a while and then get this hose off. Managed to hang onto the clamp. Alright, so the hose clamp is off. Now I'm going to move the pan over to catch, hopefully, what comes out of the block. Alright, so I went underneath and pulled down on it, got it off, so yeah, we're good to go. My biggest concern is this does not look like the hose I picked up, which of course is possible because this is a Blueprint Engines Chevy 350, not necessarily the 350 that came with the truck from GM. So hopefully I can get my lower radiator hose to work. Let's check it out. Yeah, I definitely had a problem here. These are the two different hoses. You can see this one's a lot longer. This one's more of a bent into an S shape. And holes are significantly different. This one is much larger. This one is just tiny. I looked everywhere on this thing and could not find any holes, any issues. So I'm not entirely sure that the hose is the problem. However, I do see a really good imprint on here, and I'm just wondering if maybe it's just something I cannot see. So one of the things, actually, a buddy of mine suggested that I use the T-bolt hose clamps. I'll show you those in a second, but they don't have quite the same sort of cutting edge that regular traditional hose clamps have, and I'm hoping that might solve my problem. Plus a new hose, and we'll see if there's any leaks. If that's not it, we at least know it's not the radiator hose and the hose clamps. But yeah, I couldn't see a single problem with this hose. Now that's much more like it. They are the same. And it even looks like I don't even really need to cut, because this almost looks, the older one looks a little bit longer. And I always kind of felt like it was squished down in at the bottom. So, perfect. Okay, as you can see, these are for some reason called a T-bolt clamp, but as you can notice, there's sort of a rounded edge on here. It doesn't have those slots that cut into the hose. It's just one smooth surface all the way around, and then where it tightens up, it's got this rounded edge to keep from digging in too much. I'm gonna give these a try and hopefully they work out well. Okay, I've got my clamps on. I'm gonna actually use a little bit of synthetic grease. You don't want to use anything like Vaseline because that actually can eat the inside of the hose away. But the synthetic grease should help it slide on a little better. Could maybe first try a little bit of coolant. Sometimes the coolant makes it a little slippery enough to get on as well, but I don't want to put very much on at all, just enough to get this started and up in there nice and tight. Pretty sure I want the clamp on this side because I was able to see it fairly well down through here straight in. So I want to make sure I've got good access to it, and it was on this side before. All right. All right, it's all the way up there and on tight. Yeah, it looks like we should be okay. Now, gotta make sure I get the wires up out of the way. I really should zip tie these things. But I've got my clamp on there. And it's on nice and tight. All right. Both clamps are on nice and tight, not interfering at all. I've got a good inch between the hose and the belt. It's not pinching down here really. It does look like it, but it's not pinching. And I think we're good. Time to add some coolant, see if we can burp it. We are up and just need to see if I can bleed some of the air out of here. Alright, I'm not getting any more air sounds as I'm burping the hose, and it's just pushing coolant up. Alright, she's running. Continuing to try to burp the upper hose a little bit, and got the coolant in the reservoir. Let's see what she does. Got up to temperature, fans kicked on, dropped back down, everything is looking good, but I'm gonna keep driving it around for a little bit to make sure. It'll probably be a while before I see if there's any leaks, but everything so far looks pretty good. Gonna call that done. So while I'm waiting for some parts to show up, I have a couple little projects that I also want to take care of, including the blanket that's on my seat. Actually, this blanket was a last minute addition right before I left on the power tour. I figured I wanted to ride in something a little more comfortable than the sort of cheap old vinyl that's underneath here, which can get really hot. It's a dark color, all that. And this blanket really came in handy, but of course it's got the same problem. It's not really a blanket designed for actual car use. It is just a straight out blanket. Got it on Amazon for like 20 bucks. And it was so nice. The white color helped keep it from getting hot. Great material. I mean, it was perfect. So I kind of wanted to keep it. The only way to do that really is if I maybe install some grommets in here, like along the way. I can put in a couple of grommets, sort of tie it into the back and keep it tucked in down here. So I decided to pick up a grommet kit and figured I'd give it a try. I mean, even if it doesn't work out or it doesn't last very long, it'll still keep it from falling down every time I sit down. So let's see if that works, and get this in here and looking a little better. Okay, I've got it in here pretty much how I want it. So I wanted to sort of use some tape to just mark it off where I might want to put the grommets. I want to put them too far over this way, and then it's not over the seat itself. Let's see if I do one there. And then I'll do them at the very back of the blanket itself. And then that way, and I like how it's got that line right there that I can follow. And then what I can do is mark down here and then put another grommet, and then maybe just sort of tie them together, use a bungee cord, use something to tie them together. But now I at least know where to do my grommets, where to do the matching ones, and which ones will, how far I want to go before, while I can still keep it tucked in. So yeah, I know that on this pattern then, I want to do the other grommets that match the ones up top. This is the grommet kit that I picked up. Chinese piece of crap that'll probably fail on my first one. But you basically load it in with an upper mold of the grommet and then a washer at the bottom. Pinch it together and it makes the grommet. There's also a tool that you can use to punch a hole. So I just need a hammer to punch the hole, and then I can attach the grommet. I'll have a link in the description if you're interested in picking up this piece of crap. It was like 30 bucks. So this has a little sort of cutting tool edge on it. This is the side that you hit with the hammer, and it comes with this little sort of plastic cushion. Just put that under there, mark where you want to go. And the hole is cut. I've got the washer on the bottom, grommet on the top. Now let's see. I can line it up with the hole. Squeeze. And there we go. Got a grommet. How long it'll hold, we don't know. But it did pinch it together fine. Like I said, there's just some strands in there. We'll just see how well it holds. Okay, I just realized I'm not going to be able to get the grommets on halfway down because it's not going to fit. Yeah, because you'd have to be able to crumple the entire blanket up into this small space in order to slide that far either way to get to the middle of the blanket. So maybe I'll just attach these grommets in the back and see if that works out. Maybe use some bungee cords and see if that at least holds the back up. Okay, so I've got this back on. Got a couple of cheap Walmart bungee cords. Probably won't last, but it probably might hold it up better than it was. So I'm going to go ahead and put on bungee cord on each one of these. Maybe attach it down here. There's a nice little ledge along here. The only thing I'll have to do is be mindful to release these once I've got the back up. And I'd already cut holes for the seat belts to go through. All right, kind of works. I can live with that. So right before the power tour, I decided to finally put windshield wiper fluid in my brand new windshield wiper fluid container. The reservoir never been used, and basically I put it in. It was in there for a long time and hadn't used it. And then when I decided to put it in before the trip, because I figured I might need washer fluid, right? And this happened. Look at that, just running out and making a puddle. Brand new. Never been used. So I'm going to see if I can epoxy it up, because another one is like 40 bucks and I'm not spending that. Actually, I was wrong. It doesn't need to be epoxied. There was no grommet or anything in here keeping that water from coming out. That's the problem. Good to know. Okay, I finally got my replacement to plug up that hole. So here's the hole that's in the back of this. This is going to fit right down in there. And not sure if you recall, but I've got a video where I kind of show you how to save money on car parts. And this little piece that I basically just purchased is kind of funny. It's another example of saving money on parts. How so? This little thing was $11 or $12 from a couple of different places that I looked online. A lot of people didn't have it in stock. I don't know why, because it's an 85 C10 maybe, something weird about the year, but it was like $10, $11, $12 sometimes for just the grommet, the little rubber piece that fits down in there. And I looked on Amazon. Sure enough, I could buy the little pump itself and the grommet for $8.99, free shipping. I saved money, got it for free for shipping, and I have a backup replacement. Not sure if this is any good or not. It might not be. It might be a Chinese piece of crap. But I got it for less money than it would have been to just buy this little grommet, and I didn't have to pay for shipping. So when you're doing any kind of searching out there for car parts, look and see what all of your different options are, because you may be able to find a pretty good deal. Now what I'm going to do is use the original pump that came with it, because I'm assuming it still works and it's probably a better quality. But this little grommet will go in, and I can get this back up and we'll see if it works. So the grommet is in, and I just need to get this installed back up against the wall of the truck. So that's down there. Put the hose back on, turn it to the side, and plug this back in. Okay. Tighten it up a little bit. And other than what I spilled, it is no longer leaking. Okay, now let's take a look at the whine that is coming from my air conditioning system. On the power tour, every time I would turn on the AC, it would just whine like crazy. Let's check it out and see what it does this time. Give it a try, see what it does. There it is. That is a loud one. Okay, so this is the compressor that came with it. There was actually a full dressed front end of the engine that came with the blueprint engine package that I bought. So it included this compressor. This compressor isn't more than a couple of years old since I've had the engine. And again, I only have about 3,000 miles on this engine, so, and none of that, almost none of that is air conditioned time. So I can't imagine that it's the compressor making this noise, but I also don't think it's the belt. I mean, this belt is pretty tight. I really don't want to adjust the tensioner and see if I can get this any tighter. The other thing is, of course, that it may be the belt itself is old and worn out. Again, not a very old belt. You know, it still looks like it's in pretty good shape. And there's no real misalignment. If you can look straight down through here, you can see that this is all fairly well aligned. It does not make any noise when the AC is off. So there's nothing else that is causing this problem. So if you have any tips for me, please let me know down in the comments. I thought at first that I was going to have to just add a little more tension. Maybe it loosened up on the drive and then the squeaking started out. But it's only doing it with the AC on. The belt is not old and it's not got a lot of runtime on it. So I'm assuming that it's not the compressor. I really don't know what to do about it in this case. Again, got any comments, let me know. So the last thing I need to do is change the oil in this. You might ask, why am I changing the oil after I did 1,500 miles on the Power Tour? Usually it's every 3,000. Well, this engine only had 1,200 miles on it. So what I did was I changed the break-in oil out after the first 250 miles. Then after another 500 miles, I changed it again. And then after that, I changed it, but right before we did the Power Tour. So I'm thinking of this as almost like my final break-in oil change. Kind of want to check to see what the condition of the oil is. I'm not going to show you all the details, but I kind of just wanted to bring you in on the oil itself just to see what it looks like after that big long trip. So nothing major. I just wanted to get the oil changed, and after this I think I'm good to go for every 3,000 miles. And so yeah, that's pretty much the final thing on my list to do. So all right, let's get it out of there. So got my wicks, and I got, oh, it's a 5, if you have a C10, the wicks is 51061. But the one thing I actually cannot say enough about is the mobile VR1. I'm not sponsored by anybody, of course, but the VR1 is what Blueprint Engines recommends. And it's mostly because it's designed for older engines, flat tappet cams, got all the zinc and all of that stuff. So you don't really need to do any other additives. Blueprint Engines recommends, of course, their oil. If you don't use their oil, they do recommend VR1. And that's what I've been using every single time in this engine ever since we took out the break-in oil. It's been VR1, 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 and I'm using the 1030 like they recommend. All right, so it is not pitch black. It is pretty dark brown, I would say. Feels good. Not seeing any chunks, of course, which is first thing I was looking for. Just wanted to make sure that no parts were in there. But it looks pretty good. So yeah, gonna go ahead and put in the new oil filter, new oil, and we'll be good to go. And I even gave her a little post-Power Tour bath. All the rust is nice and shiny now. Okay, so that's going to take care of it for this video. Got a lot of the things that I needed to take care of after the Power Tour done, and a few extras that I didn't have on my list, which is kind of cool. I was waiting for parts to show up, so I figured I would take care of some of those other little things. Subscribe if you can. I'm going to be jumping into my Pontiac Le Mans again. I've got to get this Pontiac 350 engine back in, and I need to finish the rewiring. I've done the front of the rewiring. I need to do the engine rewiring, and then behind the dash, and then all the tail section wiring. So I'd love it if you could join me on this journey as I keep learning and doing more work on my cars. Comment, let me know if you have any suggestions on that air conditioning whine that I'm getting from the belts. The belt is tight and I don't know what the problem is, and I'm hoping beyond hope that it's not that compressor. So yeah, leave me a comment, let me know if you have any ideas there. Like it if you get anything out of it. That also helps grow the channel and get, getting my videos out in front of more people, I really would appreciate it. Thanks very much for tuning in. We will catch you next time.